Hello, my name is Nunix, and today I'm going to give you 4 tips for increasing your mining efficiency in the alpha and beta versions of Minecraft. Tip number 1 is to dig or mine in the positive quadrant of your Minecraft world. This means that your X and your Z coordinate are both positive. Why is this? Well, that's because prior to beta 1.6, there used to be a bug in the ore generation code that caused there to be less ore spawned whenever either the X or the Z coordinate were negative. I investigated this by creating a new world and looking at the ore count in this world and dividing it by the number of chunks, and I found that the positive quadrant had the most amount of ores, the negative quadrant had the least amount, and then the positive minus and minus positive quadrants were both sort of in the middle in between those two extremes. If you mine in the positive quadrant, you're going to get about 65% more diamonds compared to if you were mining in the negative quadrant. I made a whole Reddit post about this on the Golden Age Minecraft subreddit with a little bit more info and some more graphs, so you might be interested in checking that out. And if you're playing before Alpha 1.2.3, when the coordinates were added to the F3 menu, the way that you know the direction that you're in is by looking at the sun. So the sun or the moon, they both set in the west, right? And the positive quadrant is going to be in the southwest. So basically just face where the sunset is and then look a little bit to the left, and that's your southwest quadrant. So you probably just want to go in that direction a couple hundred blocks, make sure that you're actually on the positive side, and then just start making your mines there. Tip number 2 is to mine in between the Y levels 11 and 14. So contrary to popular belief, there's not one single Y level that has the most ore for each ore. In fact, basically for every ore except for lapis, there's going to be a range of Y values where the ore distribution is basically constant throughout. And then the Y values surrounding that range are going to have sort of a linear decrease as you get further from the range. The exception is lapis, though. Lapis basically has a triangular shape in its ore distribution where the peak is around like Y level 18, and then it just decays linearly as you go further from that point. For diamond specifically, which is I'm sure what you care about, the diamond distribution is going to basically be the same between levels 5 and 16. So why is it that I started off this tip by saying to mine between Y levels 11 and 14? Well, I'll explain in the next tip. Tip number 3 is to be efficient with your strip mines. So most of the information that I'm going to give here comes from a Minecraft forum post from August 2010 that I recommend check it out. It has a bunch of cool information. The main thing that it's sort of arguing, right, is that our main purpose or our main goal when we're mining is to try to get the most number of ore in the least amount of time. I feel like that makes sense. So we want to be efficient with the number of blocks that we mine because that's going to be the main thing that's going to take us time is mining. Our main principle should be to maximize the number of blocks that we can expose for every block that we mine, meaning that, for example, when I dig a 2x1 tunnel like this, I dig this block, but digging this block also exposes me to this block, and this block. So I have 3 additional blocks that might contain ore, and if I see this ore, I'm definitely going to mine it, right? So it's basically 4 blocks exposed per block that you mine, and that's pretty good efficiency. It's about the best that you're going to get. And it actually also means that you don't want to do these branched mines. So a common tactic for a lot of Minecraft players is to dig out these side branches. And the problem with that is that when I dig out these blocks here, I'm kind of wasting the exposure to these corners here because I already had seen them before I dug out this branch. So you're reducing your mining efficiency basically. After reading this forum post, it's converted me to basically just mining out straight 2x1 tunnels. Another thing I'll note is that you could expand your efficiency by digging sort of these straight up sort of holes like this, and that's because since you're just digging out one block, you're actually getting quite a lot of efficiency here with the number of blocks that you potentially expose with ore. So in short, you don't want to expose ores that you've already exposed, so you want to at least have a 2-block gap in between your tunnels like this. Another thing that you want to consider is that ores don't just come in single blocks, right? They usually come in veins, and these veins will branch out or spread out in multiple directions. And so that means that if you have some ore, if you're using a sort of 3-block gap here, if you have an ore here that's in the middle, chances are the vein that it's in is going to either go into the blocks in this direction or the blocks in this direction, right? And in this case, I mean, this is an artificial vein that I made, but in this case, yeah, the iron here also will appear here. And so when you're digging out this tunnel here, you will obviously start mining out the ore here. That is, if you're interested in the iron, and you're going to naturally just find the ore that was in the middle that was hidden from your original tunnel. So returning to the thing that I said at the end of the last tip, why do I say Y14 as your maximum Y level as opposed to Y16? Because Y16 also gets you the same amount of ore or diamond density as the layers below it. It's only above 16 that it starts dropping. Well, the reason is that if you have an ore vein that is up here in this Y level 16, well, chances are it's going to, again, branch out, or it's going to be also present or visible, I should say, at Y level 15, and Y level 15 will be exposed when you're digging at Y level 14, right? So this tunnel here goes from 13 to 14, and this one here goes from 11 to 12. And the reason for the 11 is because the lava level for every Minecraft world is going to be Y level 10. So it's in your interest to, if you have any sanity, right, is to dig above this level, because digging into lava pools is the worst thing ever. I recommend not doing it. It's just a huge waste of time. And the way that you know that you're above the lava level is if you check F3, at least in this version here, you see that my Y is 12.62. And what that refers to is my like eye level or head level. So this block here is Y is equal to 12, and it spans from 12.0 to 12.9, right? So I know that 12.6 must be pointing to my eye level, which means that this is Y11, which means I'm standing on Y level 10, and that's where my lava is. So if you're digging between Y11 and Y14, then that really just leaves you 4 blocks, right, that you can mine out tunnels. So I recommend mining out in this sort of staggered pattern. And as for the specific pattern, how much spacing you want to give, well, it's kind of up to you, but I've been trying out this method here where I'm giving these 3 block gaps in between tunnels, and these tunnels are staggered where one is above the other. And the reason for this, and you can see by the wool here, the dark blue wool is the blocks that are directly exposed to me when I dig out these tunnels. And the light blue wool are the blocks that are basically just a single block away from the dark blue wool from what I'm exposed to. And so again, I'm going off this principle that most ore that you find will be an ore vein that will spread basically into these dark blue blocks. And so this pattern here will basically mean that the light blue pattern here doesn't at all overlap with any of the surrounding tunnels. Because by spreading out your branches or your tunnels like this, by spreading them out more, you're most likely going to miss out on a couple ore. That's just going to be inevitable. The question is whether you actually care about that if you can just keep mining in a particular direction. Since you have infinite horizontal space, you can kind of just keep going in this direction and keep making more tunnels in that direction. And so it doesn't really matter whether you're missing out on ore. What matters is how fast you're getting the ore. Also, if you don't have your coordinates in your F3 menu, so if you're playing in alpha 1.2.2 or below, here's how you could figure out your Y level pretty easily. I would dig all the way down until you start finding bedrock, and the lowest layer of bedrock, which is going to be the one that I'm trying to mine here, that's actually going to be Y is equal to 0, not 1. So bedrock starts at Y level 0, then this is 1, this is 2, 3, and then this is Y is equal to 4. In every Minecraft world, there's always going to be 5 layers of bedrock, and you're not going to find any bedrock at Y is equal to 5 or above. You can use that fact to basically just count up from there. Tip number 4 is to use click mining. So most people, when they're mining out an area, you'll just hold down your left click button and you're just gonna go and mine all the blocks that you're trying to mine. But when you do this, there's actually a short cooldown in between the block breaking and you being able to start breaking the next block that you're looking at. And this cooldown is basically an inefficiency, and you can actually overcome this cooldown, or basically skip it, by letting go of your mouse right after you break a block and then instantly hold it back again to start mining the next one. And so check here a comparison that I made between the two mining methods. In this video, I'm actually 24% faster with the diamond pick when I'm using the click mining versus your standard mining method. I also just learned of this method very recently. It's from the same forum post that I mentioned earlier, so all credit to them. Before I end the video, I'm going to give you 2 extra tips free of charge. Tip number 5 is After a while in your world, I would recommend just skipping the redstone. For some reason, in this version, all the way up to beta 1.9, or 1.9 is when they changed it, uh, redstone just takes forever to mine, no matter what tool you're using. So this is with diamond. And honestly, until there's pistons added, there's not really a huge reason to have a bunch of redstone, at least in my opinion. And even with pistons, I don't think you really need like the extreme amount of redstone that you might need in more modern versions of Minecraft. So just skip the redstone. It takes way too much time to mine out. And then tip number 6 is to basically not do what I'm kind of doing right now, which is getting sucked into caves and exploring every nook and cranny. And that's because really caves in isolation are really useful because they expose a lot of potential ore blocks, right? So I'm seeing all these different ores right here. That's really neat. The problem is that most caves are not going to be between levels or underneath level 19, which is where diamonds stop spawning at. The highest one is Y19. So here I'm lucky this cave is at Y16, and that's why I'm kind of exploring it because I'm hoping there's going to be a couple diamonds that I might run into. But caves often will just go up, and many times they won't come back down in terms of elevation, and for example, if I start going up here, I'm quickly going to get out of diamond range, and at that point, it's not going to really be worth it for me to keep exploring if I'm just trying to look for diamonds. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe if you're interested in more videos about Minecraft Alpha and Beta. Thank you for watching.